we're going to need you to give us your logic for this one, because if trans women are men, then that means trans men are women.
Yup!
So while you're fighting to get trans women out of the women's restroom, you are also fighting to put trans men in the women's restroom. Which one of those do you think is going to be more distressing for a group of women? My face walking in there or a trans woman walking in there? You don't know what I have in my pants, and you don't know what she has in hers. I spent 40 years in the women's restroom. Do you know how many penises I've seen in the women's restroom? Mind you, I also used to be a stage manager for our local gay men's chorus, and I have shared the bathroom with many drag queens. Again, I have seen absolutely 0 penises in the women's restroom. Maybe you should fight for better stalls. You know, the ones that have the big gaps right now. Fight for better stalls. But trans women are women. If not, then I'm a woman. And like I said, if I'm a woman, then I belong in the women's restroom, and I'm bringing trans women with me. I'm fighting for all women.
Are you off your fucking meds or something?
Yes.
No wonder this country's so up. We have people like that young lady we just heard from in the first clip who took enough testosterone to grow a goatee, talking about how she should be able to use the men's restroom, while people like this rather rotund fella on the screen should be able to use the ladies' restroom. That's first world shit right there, folks. Anyway, welcome back. Thank you guys so much for joining me. So I have a very quick and very crazy Clown World update for you guys today, and as usual, we have very little time to waste, so let's get into it. Now, if you place your attention on the screen for a moment. So this is Ash, or Ash Cat. Now, Ash posted this before and after photo. The caption says, 8 months and a week in on HRT, or hormone replacement therapy, versus me in May 2023. I'd say there's definitely been some feminization going on. What?
They're the same face! Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Let's keep it moving with a couple of clips that really highlight the amount of TDS, also known as Trump derangement syndrome, that has taken hold in this country. For example, this first clip we have this soy-infused fella here that says Donald Trump is a pathological liar. Joe Biden was very recently on the Howard Stern show, and almost every word out of his mouth was bullshit. Verifiable, undeniable bullshit. But Trump's the liar. Roll it.
So what scares me about the MAGA movement, petrifies me really, is that I can come on here and say that I'm a lifelong Republican, which I am, who's voting for Joe Biden, which I am, because Trump is a pathological liar, which he is, and their only response is that I must be a plant or an op or that I'm getting paid. I'm a stay-at-home dad. I've never made a cent from any social media account ever. But the fact that y'all have been so immersed in your Fox News ecosystem that you can't tolerate a single voice of opposition, well, that scares me because you're not listening. And that is always the beginning of the end.
You're a pussy.
And for our next example of TDS, we have this old-timer here who is a Vietnam veteran. Respect for that. My dad is also a Vietnam veteran, so thank you for your service, sir. However, he says anyone voting for Donald Trump is a fool and has been conned. Really? Roll it.
I won't engage with the MAGA crowd at all because you're not changing my mind, and certainly I'm not going to change yours. But, so what I've decided is, well, it ends up like this. Goodbye, you fools, caused you got conned, doom, 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 by a fat, incontinent prick named Don, do, 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 do. I hate to tell you that you really got played. Goodbye, you fools. Goodbye. Do, 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 do. That's it.
Your song? It's awful. I hate it.
And next up, we have famous singer-songwriter Rod Stewart. Now, This isn't another bad celebrity take on Donald Trump or anything like that. This one has to do with Ukraine. Now, for years, Ukraine has notoriously been a hotbed for corruption, but Rod Stewart loves them. Check this out. Roll it.
I think we should send the Ukrainians some F-16s. That's up to you, Prime Minister.
Yeah, you can't sort that one out now.
Well, I wish I could.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been supporting them for years, the Ukrainians. On stage, I have the flag, and I wear a blue and yellow suit and do a song and dedicate it to them and feel very strongly about it. Because if the Ukrainians lose, it's the end of civilization as we know it. You know, it's all over. So F-16s, please. If this is a big success, which I think it will be, I'd like to do it in Belfast, Dublin, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Manchester, and just keep it going.
What did you say? What the f*** did you just say?
Because if the Ukrainians lose, it's the end of civilization as we know it.
This guy is f***ing stupid!
Does Rod Stewart really not know that Ukraine never really stood a chance and that it's pretty much over? And the reason we continue to send them billions of dollars is because it's part of a money laundering. You know what? Never mind. Anyway, next up. So this next clip is probably the most absurd thing we're going to hear today. According to this young lady, if you own a business, if you own a house, if you own some land, if you're white, you haven't earned it. It's because of your privilege. Roll it.
You ever notice how white men just get wildly offended when you confront them with their privilege? They have a visceral reaction to it. How dare you call me out on my ability to not be oppressed because I'm so busy oppressing other people? And what is their first go-to response? Racist. First thing they want to do, every time, is call you a racist. When you confront them with the fact that everyone else is living a different lifestyle than they are. As if it's just some weird coincidence. The majority of them get to own property and wealth like that's just circumstantial. Oh, it's circumstantial, all right. The whole reason you're able to live that way is because you've gaslit yourself into believing that you've earned it. You didn't earn that company, you inherited it. You didn't earn that land, you inherited it. You didn't earn that wealth, you inherited it. It's generational wealth. It's called the patriarchy.
Oh, don't give me that liberal bullshit.
All right, next up we have this school teacher who thinks that the same way doctors take an oath to do no harm, she thinks teachers would take an oath to do no harm. When she starts talking about racism and white supremacy, who's the kind of teacher that's doing harm? Read it.
What if, like doctors, educators took a vow to do no harm? Hey, hi, good morning. So I was reading a book this weekend about dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline, and the author of the book frames that question, or actually she makes a statement that she wishes that educators had to take a vow like doctors to do no harm. And it really got me thinking, and I started taking a bunch of notes. What would that mean for educators to take a vow to do no harm? Would that mean that educators would be forced to have to address the way that they've internalized racism and white supremacy? Would they be mandated to address the way that biases show up in their own personal lives and how those biases then carry over into the educational spaces? Would they be reprimanded if they are harmful and hateful to children, whether it be in person or on social media? I think that that is such a great question. And I wonder how many educators take on the role of teaching from the aspect of not doing any more harm. We get our students from such vulnerable places and at such vulnerable times in a lot of their lives. And so what does it mean to show up and pour into them and not do any more harm than what they already face? I think that if you have not made a vow to do no harm to your students, today would be a great day to start.
What the hell did you just say?
Educators would be forced to have to address the way that they've internalized racism and white supremacy.
What the f does that even mean? I don't even understand what that means. That sounds like some bullshit to me.
And guys, real quick, before we go any further, I want to give a huge Shout out to the sponsor of today's video. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to let this loop on the screen. You know, I'm beginning to think that not everybody should have access to the internet. Anyway, today's video is being brought to us by our great friend Coda320. Coda320 once again, and as always, sir, thank you so much for your kindness, generosity, and support. It's always greatly appreciated. So once again, today's video sponsor is our great friend Coda320. Now, if you'd like to sponsor the next video and help support the channel, there is a PayPal link in the description box below, and I will say your full name as a sponsor of said video unless stated otherwise by you. All right, I think we've all seen enough of this. I'm not even quite for sure what it is, so let's just get it off the screen, please. Oof.
I've got more chins than a Chinese phone book!
Next up, we have this clip that I actually showed in a video a few months ago, but it's making its rounds on the interwebs again, and I just had to show it one more time for those of you that haven't seen it. So this fella's name is Kimmy. Now, he starts out many of his TikToks, not this one, of course, but many of his TikToks he starts out with, "Hey, it's your girl, Kimmy." Roll it.
We're demigirls. Of course I spent the first half of my life convinced I was just bad at being both a man and being trans. We're demigirls. Of course the goatee's staying because it's part of who I am. We're demigirls. Of course both halves of my life are very stereotypical for the gender they are because I need to feel validated. And we're demigirls. Of course I've gotten good at walking around in heels like this because it's the only size I can find.
What the f*** is this guy talking about?
All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping it up with this clip of Rick Wilson on MSNBC talking about how Joe Biden did at the White House Correspondents' Dinner over the weekend. And in case you don't know who Rick Wilson is, he's one of these Lincoln Project Never-Trumpers, so keep that in mind as you listen to this. Anyway, things are clearly getting very crazy out there, guys, so please, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Till next time. Love you guys. Peace. Roll it.
It's that sort of trope about don't just talk about the horse race. Talk about the stakes. Right. And he laid the stakes out, I think, very clearly tonight. And I think you're exactly right. He was not afraid to go and lean in a little bit and throw a couple punches. And again, just like last year, just like he does at the State of the Unions, he steps up for these big events. He proves that he is sharp and gets it, and this isn't some guy who's doddering along. He understands how big this fight is. He understands how important the calling of this moment is. Yeah, and I think he really did very well tonight.
Say what?
He proves that he is sharp and gets it, and this isn't some guy who's doddering along.
You are a fucking moron.
And you ain't black.